Dark Souls. Everyone says that this game or that game is the Dark Souls of the genre, but Dark Souls is really just a slow-paced action RPG. Or at least that's the nature of the game that everyone remembers now, and uses to try to force everything with a dodge roll or the slightest hint of difficulty into being a Souls-like game. But that's not the whole story. There is another game inside of Dark Souls, and it's kind of more of a puzzle game. And it stems from a weird thing, an issue, really, that we have in gaming right now. The first game you have to play in Dark Souls is, how do I play this game? Dark Souls' tutorial is very bare bones and only teaches you the basic movement and menus. It lacks what most other modern games include in their tutorials: details. Did you know that there are 3 levels of rolling in Dark Souls 1? Fast roll, mid roll, heavy roll. Each one has different timings for their recovery and their iframes, and the breakpoints aren't even at an even thirds. 33% and 66%, or 25% and 50% weight carry. This is something most other games would tell you, either through a text box tutorial pop-up during the boss's first attack, or by having a helpful NPC yammer on in your ear. You started as a knight, so your roll speed is reduced in favor of having better armor. You also have a better shield, so you're going to want to try to block the Asylum Demon's attacks, rather than trying to dodge roll through them. And this is why Dark Souls 1 was something of a sleeper hit. It took a little while for it to become more mainstream, more popular. It needed people to play through that initial puzzle game, to unpick and unpack how the game works, to figure out how everything operates, and then write wikis and produce video tutorials for other people to follow, and then those people could actually play the action RPG that Dark Souls 1 is now known for. Why is that? Why doesn't Dark Souls teach you how to play? Or maybe we should look at it from the other direction. Why do so many other modern video games over-tutorialize you? Beat you over the head with the information that they think you need to know in order to be able to play the game at all. I've heard many answers over the years. Gamers are stupid. Or, developers think that gamers are that stupid. The answer actually arises from a different place, one that might come as a surprise to you, and it has to do with C-Spot Run. C-Spot Run is a very simple sentence. It's found in children's books, and not just children's books. Children's books specifically designed, their entire reason for being, to teach children how to read. Literacy starts with small steps. You need to understand the sentence, see Spot run, or you can understand the meaning of the sentence, watch Spot have an existential crisis over the meaning of, who's a good boy? The issue here in the gaming sphere is a lack of fun with Dick and Jane. Yes, that actually is the name of the series from which we get see Spot run. The reason why so many games over-tutorialize. The reason why a game treats a player as if it's their first time playing any video game. It's because publishers feel like they cannot assume that it won't be some player's first time with a video game. With no games designed around teaching players games literacy, and only semi-set standards for some of those concepts anyway, publishers feel that in order for things to continue, they have to start every game, with baby's first tutorial. And this problem ultimately becomes self-fulfilling. Since every game has a training wheels on, gamers are left without those games that take those intermediate steps towards mastery. So every game must have handholding, because every game has handholding. This leaves us with 2 types of games. The games that think you're just learning how to ride a tricycle, and the games that are, hey, here's your 1000cc sports motorcycle, have fun. And Dark Souls is in that latter category. It expects you to comb through item descriptions. It expects you to go into the stats menu and turn on expanded explanations for everything and comb through every single detail in your character sheet to uncover what all these words mean. It expects you to know how to handle a clutch and throttle and gently ease yourself into the engine, getting to grips with it before you try to race. But if you're used to a tricycle, you're just going to crack that throttle open and fly off into a wall. You're going to hit that brick wall, and you're going to quit rather than persist, because all you know is a trike. And this is what I mean by self-fulfilling. Without games in the middle, games are either trikes, with answers shouted at you by helpful NPCs, try dodging now, right before his hammer strikes down, or they're a leader bike, with no instructions. And if every game is a trike, then you never learn how to ride a bicycle with training wheels. And from there, without the training wheels. And then from there, an actual simple low cc motorcycle, and then finally something more akin to a sports racing bike. You never learn and are never taught the skills to appreciate the thrill of safely opening that throttle and flying down the track. You game on, waiting for that NPC to shout the next instruction at you. Head down the steps into the edge of the cliff. The Raven is waiting to take you to Lordran. Every game has this, so that must be how gaming is. All you know is the trike. And when a game comes along that is a leader bike, you either, one, soldier forward bravely because you're one of the people who actually enjoys that kind of gaming or has the skills to understand it. B, you wait for that first group to play the game and then write the wikis and the tutorials so that way then you know how to play it. Or 3, you bounce off of it and don't wind up playing it. And not necessarily because you don't enjoy an action RPG, but because you don't know how to ride a 290 horsepower Ninja H2R Hypersport. Even worse, as more games come out and it continues that no one makes those intermediate games, people will continue to bounce off of games that don't hold their hand. It's not just about how much or how little they need that hand-holding. It ties into a larger problem of just the glut of video games that we have now, and in media in general. Tune in next week for review scores, why 7 out of 10 is considered mid now, and why it's not as bad a thing as you think it is. Until then, let me and the others know down in the comments below what kind of motorcycle you ride. Or, in lieu of that, if you don't ride, what you think about this issue of not having our own fun with Dick and Jane in the gaming sphere.